Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Tutorials. I'm Kim. In this video we're going to have a look at how to make these adorable flower motifs. They are very 3D. They've got all these layers of petals and this kind of ball in the center forming that stamen section. They are adorable and a wonderful addition to anything you might pop a motif onto. So, you know, a bag or a blanket or even a hat or a scarf. These are made in different yarns. So this one has been made in a 10-ply acrylic yarn, and this one has been made in an Aran cotton. So 100% cotton and in an Aran size. So they are a little bit bigger. Of course, this one has a couple more rounds than this one, and entirely up to you how many rounds you do. I would suggest at least 3. And in the middle here, we've got that little kind of ball. And all I've done is actually stuffed that with the yarn scraps from sewing in all the ends from the colour change. This is what it looks like on the bottom, and as you can see, it looks wonderful because of the rainbow colours. But yeah, certainly it is just a simple matter of joining a new colour onto this arm every round, and I've joined it on the same arm every round just to maintain that consistency. Really simple pattern. So let's get started. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm going to be using the 10-ply yarn and a 5.5mm hook. Essentially, that will give me a flower about the same size as this, and you can see it's considerably wider than my hand and not as long, but it is quite a large motif. So if you used 8-ply yarn, or you used, you know, a DK, or you used a fingering weight or a sock yarn, a 4-ply, then it would be a smaller product. You would still do the same stitches, of course, but it would be a smaller product. So to get started, we actually need a magic ring, and if you don't know how to make one, it's really quite simple, but it can be a little bit tricky to get used to. Just lay the yarn across your hand like this and wrap it around those 3 fingers. So bring it back around those 3 fingers and then bring it across again and make a cross on the top of your fingers like that. Get your hook and go in under that first strand and grab the back strand and drag it under, and kind of turn the hook so you've got that loop on your hook like that. And then I take this opportunity just to chain 1 by grabbing that yarn again and bringing it through. So there we have the magic ring, and this is the most stable form of magic ring. By making that extra chain, it will make sure that your ring doesn't fall apart on you as you're crocheting. Just will zoom in a little bit. So what we need to now do is pop 12 half double crochets into this ring, and because we've already got this chain on the hook, we don't need to chain at all. And if you did chain, you can, of course, if you really want to, but if you did chain, it wouldn't count as a stitch. So just a half double crochet. In the UK, you will know that as a half treble. It is completed by yarning over, going into the ring, yarning over and pulling through 3 loops on the hook, and then yarning over and pulling through all 3 loops. That's the half double crochet. So yarn over, into the ring, yarn over, pull up, 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So we need 12 of those. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And if you have trouble with your magic ring, you need to kind of hold the ring and hold the stitches and give yourself a place to actually pop the stitches into. It can be really tricky, but keep at it. The magic ring's a wonderful thing, and it certainly is pretty necessary for a lot of crochet projects. Then once you've done that, I like to count. It's just the way I am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hang on, I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Beautiful, got 12. And then close the ring just by pulling on that tail and close it shut. And then we are just going to slip stitch into that first stitch that we made. And then we're going to chain 4. And we're going to skip a stitch and single crochet into the following stitch. And chain 3. And again, skip a stitch and single crochet into the next. And chain 3. And just keep going around with skipping a stitch and single crocheting into the next stitch. In the UK, of course, that one's called a double crochet. Skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 3, skip a stitch, single crochet, skip a stitch, and then we're back to our beginning where all we need to do is slip stitch into that first chain that we made in our initial chain 4. So that gives us 6 chain spaces where we can put our petals for this round. So this round there are white petals, so we're going to make the first round of petals with white. So we have slip stitch, we're just going to chain 1 and then pop a single crochet straight into that chain space, that first chain space, and then a half double crochet, and then 3 double crochets. Of course, in the UK, you'll know these as the treble crochet. We'll be yarn over into the ring, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So we need to do that 3 times. We've already done 1, we need to do 2 more. 2, and another half double crochet, and another single crochet. And that gives us the lovely graduated edge for that petal. If we just put in double crochets, they'd actually be more square. What we want is this lovely rounded edge, and to do that we put in that graduation of stitches from single up through to double. Then go straight into the next chain space and single crochet, and do the same again, a half double crochet, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, then another half double crochet, and our final single crochet. And we do that all the way around until we get to the end where we slip stitch to the first chain that we made. So that again is 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, another half double crochet, and our final single. So if you do that for the next 3 petals, excuse me, 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, 3 double crochets, another half double and another single in each petal, and I'll meet you just before we're going to join. Okay, so I've just put in my last single crochet in my final petal, and you can see here there's a little space for me to join to here. So I'm just going to slip stitch straight into that, and I can fasten off. That's the end of my white round. I'm going to leave a reasonable length tail, firstly because it enables me to sew those ends in without having to struggle with the length of my needle, but also because I'm going to use these yarn tails to stuff the central point anyway. So I'm going to give you a word of advice. It is easiest if you actually weave in these tails every round. And if you're curious about the easiest way to weave in your tails, this is the most secure. So you get your yarn obviously from the tail onto your needle, and you can see where that tail actually comes out of this point here. What we want to do is weave the yarn in under these stitches here, these straight portions of the stitches here. And so we just don't go in exactly where it came out, just grab a yarn strand just behind that and go in under those stitches. And if they're tight, it will be difficult. Single crochet can be particularly difficult to get in under, and that's why I've made the center of this half double crochet. And just pull that through, and then where you've come out again, you don't want to go back in, so just go in front of that again and come out. Try and come out behind where your yarn tail came out from originally, and pull it through. And again, just going in just in front of where we came out and getting that tail through and coming out beyond the point previously, and then just snipping that off, and that will stay there. It's quite invisible, it will stay there, and it will be quite secure. So this tail that's at the top of your, well, at the join essentially of your petals, all you need to do is go down into that stitch and then come along the bottom of your petal here. You can see where all of these stitches sit nicely against that chain you made. You just scooch in under those, and again do the three pass method, and it will be very secure. So I like to do this for this particular project. I like to do this every round, and the reason is because you're joining onto the same place every time. It just becomes you've got a tail end from your start and your finish point. It just becomes a bit of a nightmare to actually move these tails out of the way all the time. If you don't sew your ends in as you go, that's okay. You're your own boss. Don't let me boss you around. All right, we're going to grab a new color and attach. Okay, so I've got this lilac. All I'm going to do is put a slip knot on my hook, and then grab one of these. This is the one that I've just sewn in. That's where I've just came out or finished with the white. So I'm just going to grab this leg here, or arm you might call it, and just single crochet onto that. So it, from the front, it has this this color around it, but you don't see that once you've actually put, you can see that on this one, you can see the light pink is attached to that. But once you've got your centerpiece on, can't see that, so it's fine. And then we're going to chain 4. And simple crochet, holy moly, single crochet to the next arm. And again, chain 4 and single crochet onto this next arm. And we're going to do that all the way around. So chain 4, 2, 3, 4, single crochet to the next arm. And essentially we're just making those spaces to pop in the petals for the next round. 4, single crochet to that arm, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is our last arm that we need to single crochet to. We're going to be joining 3, 4. We're going to join to, get out of my way tail, we're going to join to that single crochet we made when we first attached. So go in there as best you can. Just try not to join to this actual chain, but anywhere you can get your yarn or your hook in, right at the base of that is going to be fine. And just slip stitch. So you can see that this all sits behind the front of your flower, and essentially all we're going to do is just put those or fold those petals from the first couple of rounds aside and then work into these chains for this round. So you'll notice that last round we chained 3 to make the petal spaces. In this round we've chained 4, and in the next round we're going to chain 5, and the following round we'll be chaining 6. So each time you make a new layer of petals, your chain space needs to increase by 1 chain. So you can create 50 petals if you like, but every chain round, every time you put in a space for those petals, the chain length needs to increase by 1 chain. And in your stitches, you'll do the same stitches, except your double crochets will increase by 2. So I'll show you what I mean. We're going to chain 1 and then pop in that single crochet, the first single crochet for the petal, and our half double crochet, that remains the same for every petal round. But then we're going to put in 5 double crochets. Last round we put in 3, this round we're putting in 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And every petal will have a half double crochet at the beginning and a half double crochet at the end, and a single crochet as well. So that enables the flower to, or the petals rather, to lap beautifully like they do here. So that's the same for every petal. Just single crochet into the next chain space, half double crochet, and 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then half double crochet and a single crochet. And again, single crochet. It's the same every time. Half double crochet, 5 double crochets, 2, 3, 4, and 5, a half double, and our final single. So you can see that that's the way the petals are created. So a single, a half double, 5 double crochets, another half double and another single in each of these next 3 chain spaces, and I'll meet you up just before we join to complete this round. Okay, so I've just made my final single crochet. Again, all we need to do is single crochet, or sorry, rather slip stitch into that beginning single crochet we made and tie off. And again, I leave quite a lengthy tail to enable me to sew that end in easily, and also because I'm going to use those yarn ends. So that's what you should have at the moment. Now, as I said earlier, I've managed to crochet one of my hairs in. You will actually be able to stop this or continue as long as you like. So if you think, look, that's absolutely fine, that's all I need for my project, and you don't want to put this centerpiece in, then this is how, I mean, the flower looks absolutely adorable like that anyway. If you like, though, continue with me. I'm going to put in 2 more rounds. So you can see I've got my ends here and I need to sew them in. So I'll just do that quickly. If you leave yours, that's okay. You may struggle with them, but it's okay. And I'll meet you back when I've done that. Okay, my next colour is this candy pink. So again, I'm just going to put a slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to attach to, hopefully I can find it, that same arm that I attached to last time. It's quite easy. It's actually it's probably the only sort of thicker arm. So you can attach to any arm you like, but I just find it easier to attach to the same one, and just attaching it with a single crochet. So the first round we did 3 chains for our petal space. This round we did 4, and in this round we're going to do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's exactly the same thing. We're just going to single crochet to that arm. You can see that I'm only single crocheting to the purple and not to down here in the white, but essentially we're doing the same thing. 5, attach to that arm, and go all the way around. 3, 4, 5, chaining 5 and attaching to that arm each time. 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, whoop, 5. Behave yourself, flower. There we go. Single crocheting onto the arm each time. 3, 4, 5. Except when we get to the end here, we're just going to slip stitch into the bottom of this single crochet that we did to attach, and chain 1. And then we need to put in our stitches for the petals. So in every case it is going to be a single crochet and a half double crochet, and then we're going to put in, for this round we put 3 double crochets, for this round we put 5, for this round we're going to put 7. So each time we increase by 2 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We need to put our half double in and our single. And that is the completed petal. So you see that they just overlap nicely just because of the addition of those extra chains and the extra double crochets. So the single, the half double, and the 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and a half double and a single. So I think you've probably intuited exactly what's going on. Every chain round increases by 1 chain to enable the additional space for the additional stitches on the bigger petals. And those petals themselves, the only place you put in extra stitches is with the double crochets, and that's 2. So your chains increase by 1, your double crochets increase by 2. And as I said, you can do as many rounds as you like. All right, I'll meet you when we get to the end of this round. Okay, I'm at the end of this round. As normal, we're just going to slip stitch to the bottom here. Anywhere you can get in is really fine, as long as it's right at the bottom of that next, or the first petal that you made. And again, fasten off. Now I'll go ahead and put in my next round of petals. As I've said, the next chain round will increase by 1 chain. So we did 3, 4, 5. This chain round needs to be 6 chains per segment, and the petals will increase by 2 double crochets. We've just done 7 double crochets in this latest round, so my final round will be 9 double crochets. And I'm going to incidentally use this same colour as I have with this one. So I'll go ahead and pop that in, and then I'll show you how to create this centerpiece. Okay, so here's my flower with all of the petals completed. I'm going to make the centerpiece yellow. You can see in this one I made it the same colour as the and this one as the final round. Doesn't really matter what colour you make it. You could make it the same colour as the original round, but I'm going to make this one yellow. And essentially, again, we're going to need, oh, you can get out of the way for a second. We're going to need a magic ring. So again, we just wrap that yarn around our fingers and cross at the front there, and then bring in the hook, grab the yarn, go under, turn it, and I like to complete that chain 1 to secure the ring. So then we're going to put 6 single crochet into that ring. So 1, I'll just tighten that ring a little bit, make it easier for me to work into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then close the ring. And then we just need to put 2 stitches into every stitch around. You can use a stitch marker because we're not going to be slip stitching to create the end of a round, but all I do is count. So go into that first stitch and pop 2 stitches into there. 1, 2. Then we need to count around 3, 4 until we get to 12, putting 2 stitches in each stitch. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm just going to shut that, close that ring a bit more. There we go. Now the next round we're going to start in this first stitch here, and we're going to put in a double crochet and then increase in the, a single crochet and then increase in the next stitch. So our count will be 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, all the way around until we get to 18, knowing that the multiple of 3 is always your increase stitch. So 1, 2, and the increase stitch is the multiple of 3, 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 being the increase stitch, and then 7 and 8 and 9 both go in the same stitch. So that's increasing every second stitch, and then 10, 11, 12 is the multiple of 3, 13, 14, 15 is the multiple of 3, 16, and finally 17 and 18 is the multiple of 3. Then we need to single crochet around 2 rounds of 18 stitches. So again, I just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And as you can see, it started to cup. So the next round will bring that into a real cup. I'll leave you to do that next round of 18. Just count around and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so I've just completed that second round of 18 stitches all around, and now we have to decrease. And to do that, we're going to use the invisible decrease, and we're going to decrease in every stitch. So to do that, you simply go into the front loop of the next stitch, pop your hook underneath that loop, and go into the front loop of the following stitch. And I turned my hook upside down to do that, but you don't have to. Depends on the tension of your yarn. Sometimes with the cotton yarns it is easier to turn your hook upside down and grab it with the hooky bit, and then just yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, and then again yarn over and pull through those. So we need to do that 9 times. So that's 1 front loop only, and front loop only, and yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, then yarn over again and go through those 2. That's 2 front loop only, front loop only, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and last one, 9. Now that's decreased in every stitch all the way around, and it means we have a much narrower opening there. So we can fasten off but leave a long tail because we need to sew this shut, and we also need to sew it to the actual flower. So just cut that off and then pop your tail from the beginning into there. And all these yarn scraps that you saved from weaving in all your ends in the flower, they can go in as well. You don't want to overstuff it because you don't want it to be extraordinarily puffy. And then just pop the yarn on your needle and just go around into each stitch or every second stitch, it doesn't really matter, and just start closing that hole, and you'll find as you go around it just pulls it gradually closed. And don't want you hanging out. And once it's closed like that, then we can just flatten it out, and it's time to attach it in the middle of our flower. So we've already got the tail attached, so all I do is just go into, you can see here that there's all these little holes around the outside here, so just go into the corresponding one, and then on the back side just come over one and pass it through again, and then grab a stitch or two of your piece and work your way around like that, going into the hole and back out, and then grabbing a stitch on your piece and back in to the base of the flower. And as you do that, it'll become very secure and you won't need to worry about doing any other stitching of this piece on. Yes, we're almost at the beginning again. So just go back in and grab a stitch or two. There's probably a few more than two there. And yep, we're at the beginning. So just like to go back down into that and then come out again just to make sure. Oops. And then grab a stitch on this and just make a knot. Pull it pretty tight. And then pass your thread through the piece and pull it tight and snip it off. And that'll hide the thread inside. And that is your finished flower. So your colours might be slightly different to mine, but essentially that is how you make it. And you can make well, loads of them, and attach them all over blankets, or you can put it on a bag or a hat, and it's a gorgeous little addition. So I hope you make this. If you have any questions, feel free to just comment in the comments below and I'll answer them as best I can. But yeah, certainly this is a wonderful flower, and it's so easy to make that you'll just make loads. All right, I will see you in the next video. Hope you have a wonderful day.